Hello guys, and welcome to a new Sturm Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 1 versus 1 on Tannenberg, and I'm going to be playing with Maneuver Group Vyborg. I'm up against Vlad Vexler once again, also known as Flix, and I'm going to be referring to him as Flix throughout. We've already played one game against each other. This is the second game in our 2 games in the group stage of the Sturm Division League Season 10 Division 2. And you can see I've already come out of the start here with an IL-2 and a Hurricane that are going to be trying to deal with Flix's Sagittario. Got a bunch of PTRSs rushing up on these roads with loads of flamers, and I'm going to be following it up with loads of Chernos, nice and spread out. A couple of Stroker GP to help hold the center early on. I also brought up 2 AA pieces, 2 25mm, so that I could deal with enemy fighters at the start of the game. Now my plan here is to use the IL-2s and the Hurricanes to strafe his units, and I get 2 lovely hits onto his motorcycles there early on, allowing me to take control of an offensive flag early on. My IL-2 meanwhile is going to continue to try and focus down the Sagittario. He doesn't have any AA of his own just yet, but I don't want to get baited into his spawn because he could just bring it in underneath me, so I am staying away, and I'm going to be trying to get him to come over my AA, but he has of course seen it already, so he is not going to get caught out by that. On the left side, one of my Chernos does get killed off by the IG-18, a little bit of a mistake on my part because I am focusing so much on the air micro, and I'm going to double down with the Hurricanes to get some strafing done. So 47 on this right side, going to be strafed. IG on the left, also going to be strafed. And I'm hoping to just get plenty of damage in. Now he has brought in his own AA. The Sagittario hanging about. I'm going to try and score some kills. The Breda here switching fire to the IL-2 is going to keep my Hurricane alive as it retreats. He is going to be coming down deep towards my IL-2, but he's going to be trying to pull away. And I'm going to be doing a nice cheeky turn there. Take out the Sagittario early on. Really good kill for me, especially considering I've invested into these Hurricanes. I realised this 20mm really wasn't doing much damage to my aircraft, and he seems to have brought in another one over here, or another 2 over here. So I was thinking maybe if I just evac them and I wait, I can bring in some more later on and we can actually overwhelm his AA with my Hurricanes and IL-2s. So that was kind of my plan. We are sitting on a comfortable 14-10 in terms of flags due to capturing this one and this one in the town. My flamers holding position here. On the right hand side I did bring in a IS-2 and some Chernos and the 2 Strelki DP. So now just going to be trying to solidify my position temporarily. I'm bringing up some Chernos. I've got the 47s, or sorry, 45mm guns moving up so that I can also put my own threat down this road against his transports. Unfortunately, the 47 that I strafed earlier does find shots onto my T-26, so that does go down in the center. But I'm happy that he hasn't pushed the center just yet. No, I didn't put any pressure in here at all. This was part of my plan, part of my deck build. Like in the last game, Flix got the better of me earlier on. If you haven't watched it, definitely go back and check it out. But with that said, I did lose the first game, so yeah, his opener was very, very good, and it caught me off guard completely because I hadn't played any 1v1 in practice for the league, so it's kind of my bad. But this time around, I was like a man with a plan. I was like, you know what, I'm going to spread out early, I'm going to harass him with aircraft on his transports. I was planning to hit his convoys on the way in, but he brought an early fighter, so I couldn't just ignore it. And then in phase B, I have both my Sturmoviki cards. So I have a Sturmoviki Rocks and I have a standard Sturmoviki. And with that abundance of really strong close range infantry, I'm going to be able to plow through the middle of the map, no problemo. And that was the idea for this game. Also, for the open ground, because I'm playing Vyborg, I do have access to IS-2s. I'm just going to have to be a bit careful and play around the Pak-43, the Nashorns Tigers. That's the main thing that I'm going to have to be concerned about. But otherwise, yeah, I'm happy to sit on this early advantage that I had. He is going to bring it back to 12-12, so I'm no longer ticking. But this IL-2, meanwhile, is going to be hovering around on this right-hand side, looking for the enemy AA. And it's going to reveal itself. So time to bring in the Hurricanes to shoot it. So going to spread out. And we're just going to dive in on that bread of 20mm. And try and kill it off. And if I can kill it, then all of these support weapons are open season. I can just start slaughtering these brothers on this right-hand side. So first strafing run comes in, second strafing run comes in, we managed to find the kill, and now a new IL-2 coming in to engage these support weapons. I changed the target on the IL-2, unfortunately caused it to turn around. Flix has pushed up in the middle now as well and taking control of this flag. He also pushed up an infantry on this left-hand side into this building to take control over this flag. So we are losing now 14-10. But I was hoping that maybe I could do the same thing to this Flak 36 and overwhelm it. Now, if I'd brought in all of these at the same time and they weren't already a little bit pinned down, then I would have been fine to do that. But in this case, it's a little bit late for that, so I'm going to have to fall back once again. And also Flix has now invested in another fighter, so pretty much time to go unless I can get a good turn on that with the help of the 25mm AA. But with the 105 hitting the mark, well, the IL-2's out of there. Well, not 105, it was an 88, sorry. So his Fallschirmjäger and Fallschirmstöße with the guns with the MG42s are putting pressure on my Chernos. My Chernos are disheartened, so they do automatically fall back, which is losing me a little bit of ground across the front. But as long as it's not a double tick in favour of my opponent, I don't really mind at the moment, because my whole plan revolves around Phase B when I get the Maverick income. So the early game's not too much of a concern, and I am going to have an IS-2 on the field soon, which is going to help solidify this right-hand side and put down HE fire support onto this infantry. Well, these Strelki are in a little bit of a problem due to enemy mortar fire coming in there and dealing plenty of damage. 45mm gun, going to be trying to help deal with the Grenadier. And coming in for another strafing run. I was hoping that, you know, with the Bredagon I would be able to get another strafing run in. But he did manage to get an 88 up in time. And I'm going to get a bit of damage in at least with the IL-2. I was hoping, since that was nice and low, that I would be able to possibly strafe his mortar. But unfortunately it didn't work out. And while I'm paying attention doing that, he's going to get the better of my Strelki DP. So now I'm in trouble, because you can see the amount of aircraft that I've invested in on the left hand side. I got 4 Hurricanes and 2 IL-2s, and yeah, I'm gonna have to find a way to deal with the 88 potentially. So what I was hoping to do was just face tank an engagement with the IS-2. If I can get the IS-2 up here, the 88 will struggle to penetrate the IS-2 at maximum range, whilst my HE can slowly kill that off. So yeah, that was what I was going to look to do as my solution to deal with that. Because one thing that Vyborg doesn't have is like decent 2000 meter range HE fire support. So I'm actually quite reliant on things like Andrushas. Now we've got 1 minute 30 left in Phase A, so I don't have any Andrushas yet. And when I have Andrushas on the field, I might potentially want to use them to crack open the middle, or, you know, pin down some of the infantry so that I can push forwards with the Chernos. Because as long as his Fallschirmjägers are pinned down, they're not going to be effective against the Chernos. The Chernos can just run forwards and find surrenders. But his Fallschirmstöße coming through here is trying to get a better position with the forces that he has. And since these are so far up, the IL-2 is going to get a free strafing run here. Get plenty of damage in. Very nice indeed. Instantly forced off by the 88 though. And you can see that he has now invested into 2 Sagittarios. So he had the one from before, and he's just purchased a new one. Going to fly over my 25, try and chase down my IL-2 before it gets out. I did have a couple of Hurricanes, but they're not going to be fast enough to get on the back of the Sagittario. These have like 600 km/h speed or something, so the Hurricanes, yeah, they're kind of lacking at 430 km/h. These Hurricanes are actually more just here for dealing with the ground strafing. But I find myself at a 15-9, and obviously that is not good. But we have 10 seconds till phase B, and then I'm going to be able to take back 3 flags in the center quite convincingly, if all goes to plan. IS-2 now finding its engagement with the Flak 36. I didn't want to be this close. I was like 1,800 meters. The trouble is with the IS-2 1943 is it's not impervious to an 88 at maximum range, so you do need to be careful. Like, I don't want to get any closer because it gives the 88 a chance to penetrate. But at maximum range, it's a lot lower chance. But what is that on the horizon? It's 2 Nashorns. Not just 1, but 2. And the second shot from one of the Nashorns does find a penetration. 88 still going to be bouncing. But check this out, guys. This is pro skills right here. IS-2 reversing. Very much under stress. And going to sling a shot straight into the Nashorn. Oh yeah. What a shot. An absolute bullshit shot. But a shot nonetheless. And it was actually quite funny. During the game, both myself and Flix were like, what the fuck? And I apologized for such RNG, because that was ridiculous. The fact that that was on the move, and stressed, and pulled off that shot was nuts. Like, that must have been like a 1% or 2% hit chance. Like, very, very low. Very, very low. So, yeah. One of his Nashorns down anyway, which is good for me, at least. And I'm starting to get in position to deal with the center. So, Andrusha has now arrived, as I mentioned. And my plan is now going to come to fruition. I have my Sturmovikis that are coming in with M2 half-tracks, so they can't be shot at by light arms fire as they approach, which would force them to unload. And then the Andrusha can, you know, pin the enemy squads, and I can just run in there with the Sturmoviki. Now, what I probably should have done is wait for the Andrusha to land before I take them out of their transports, because that way I don't take any suppression myself. But as long as this Andrusha hits true, I should be absolutely fine, and so far, so good. It's absolutely slapped about his infantry. You can hear the infantry dying as the rockets land there, and it's even pinned down the Sturm on the left-hand side, which allows my Strelki to move up and try and clear those out. So that's going to give me back these 2 flags, take away the 15-9 from my opponent, and kind of set things in the right direction for the rest of this game. So I'm going to just bring in more Sturmoviki rocks, more Strelki DP, and just completely control the middle of the map. That was the plan. Just take back, like, take all of these flags. That was what I wanted. And then I can work around the rest of the map if I need to. On the right-hand side, Strelki DP was being cheeky and pushing up here, trying to make a little play. Did end up taking out one of his infantry squads. BA-10M is going to be trying to finish off the Flammenwerfer. Ends up being strafed pretty hard by the Sagittarios though, and therefore forced back. But yeah, you can see I've completely cleaned that out with the Andrusha. I'm finding the Stostrup that are left over on this flag, and at least taking this flag did stop the 15-9, so we're back to a single tick. But of course I don't want that to happen forever. So I'm going to invest once again into another play with the helicopters, with the aircraft. My air hurricanes coming in. 4 strafing runs onto the Stostrup. And we'll be able to get plenty of damage done. I'm also going to be trying to kill off the IG-18 here. And I feel like I really should have maybe just invested this into attacking the Flak 36. Because if all of those had just targeted the Flak 36, we would have killed that. Easy peasy. But taking out the Stostrup and the IG does open opportunities for my infantry to push through anyway. So I felt that that was okay regardless. And I'm able to get some strafing done onto the Flak 36 on the right hand side because it moved in between the buildings and didn't have line of sight to fire back. So that was actually really, really good for me. IL-2 coming in there for another strafing run as well. Hoping that I can kill that off. Because if I can get rid of these 88s, then my Hurricanes are going to have free reign. As long as I bring in enough AA to cover them against the Sagittarios. So I'm able to kill that one off, which is nice. The PE-2 is coming in with a bombing strike onto the Pak 43 to open up more movement for my IS-2s. And you can see that the strafing runs are being targeted on the LG and the Nashorn. Sturmoviki, meanwhile, in the center are finding pioneers. And Sturmoviki are very good, but not when they're that stressed. Enemy mortar fire had come in and pinned them down before that engagement occurred. So he took advantage and surrendered one of those squads. And this Sagittario really being difficult to take out. I really should have invested into more AA. That was one thing that I was really missing here. Like a 37 or another 25 mil, something like that. My IL-2 actually fails to kill off the 2 health Pak 43 on the left, which was really, really bad. But what I'm going to be doing in the middle, in the meantime, is rushing forwards with the Sturmoviki. Now, I've seen, having watched other people play the map, that I was... Well, that you can often get up these side roads because people don't cover them with AT. And I was right. He hadn't covered this at all. So my Sturmoviki just drives all the way up here and captures the rear flag, which puts me in a lead, 13-11. My Sturmoviki trying to hold off the infantry that's pushing me. This Sturmoviki, I'm actually going to end up unloading a little bit early just so I don't lose the salient. And meanwhile, on the right-hand side, my IS-2 gets killed off. I believe it was by a Tiger in the light cover. Flix used the light cover there to ambush it. Flammenwerfer on the left does get taken out by Micherno. Absolute Chad. And 45 mil trying to cover as the infantry advance here. And what I'm going to do is use my Andrusha on the right hand side to pin down this infantry. But now what I'm going to be doing in the forest is bringing up some off-map, 152 mil off-map. I know that he's got a relatively good concentration of infantry that's trying to hold this flag. So I'm going to try and off-map it, then move the Sturmoviki back forwards to kill them off. I'm not sure if he saw it come in, but he did start retreating the pioneers. Over here you can see my Andrusha coming in. And I am going to use some Stroki DP to try and cover that off. But yeah, my strategy pretty much revolved around taking these 3 flags from my opponent, and that would give me a 15-9 if I could hold on to that position. I just need to make sure that I don't lose too many flags elsewhere. But here comes the off-map. Pretty much perfect. It's going to crush his infantry here. And my Stroki DP just advancing freely across the open. I'm going to have one of my Sturmoviki fast move up the road on the right so that I can catch this Falchion Pioneer that's falling back to the right side. This 2, unfortunately, does get hit by the Tiger, and the LG is also engaging. That PTRS squad does get found. But this middle area is completely falling apart for Flix, which is great. He has brought in some Falchion Pioneers that are going to try and deal with my Sturmoviki. I do manage to pin them down, but unfortunately, because my Sturmoviki are surrounded and they get hit by the grenade, it doesn't really bode well for that engagement, and I'm going to lose my salient there. Like, the way the front line was moving for me was really unfortunate because it really prevented a lot of surrenders onto my units. And Sagittario there getting a little strafe off this Sturmoviki, trying to kill the Sturmoviki, or trying to kill the Pioneer. Do at least get that surrender. But I'm going to have to do things the hard way in this engagement. So, more Sturmoviki constantly being reinforced into the center here just to clean this out. I did manage to grab this flag on the left side, which is good. Tigers are starting to build up in the town, but I have brought up double IS-2 1943. So, yeah, I want to get back to a 1 tick at least, you know, 13-11, and start counting down some of his tickets, because obviously I've only got like half my tickets left. But with, you know, the rest of the game, I will win in 29 minutes. I only need to be past his tickets after the 50-minute mark, and then I will win. So IS-2s have a lot of work to do here. They need to cover my Stroki DP as they push up, and try and find some kills onto the Tigers. That's their main role. I'm also going to be bringing up another 25mm. Got another IS-2 on the way, a third one. And I've got some more AA coming into the middle. New off-map going to be landing, trying to clean out any reinforcements that have come in here. And when that lands, I'm going to be trying to push in. But Flix, he's going to be bringing up a Ju-88. He doesn't end up bombing with it. He probably changed his target. Oh, never mind, he did bomb with it. I'm so used to watching a replay and seeing that it's used its ammo. But yeah, he bombed in the middle there, took out an infantry unit. And my off-map's going to try and pin his infantry, and I'm going to push in now with the Sturm to clean that out. So IS-2's here, looking to try and deal with the Grens. This IS-2 is in line of sight of the Tiger, but takes ages to reload because they don't have any veterancy. Potentially I could have upbedded these. I'm not sure really how viable that is in this deck. But what I'm going to do now is drop an off-map here. And I'm going to pull back the Siedlce. Now he was pushing like a Falchion Pioneer through here. My Siedlce DP obviously can't deal with that at close range. So the idea was just to drop the off-map, allow that to pin the enemy infantry, then I can run the Siedlce DP back forwards. But Flix did the right thing and he just hunted down my Siedlce DP here. So you can see he's running after me and he is catching up because Fallschirmjäger are faster than Siedlce. And as my Siedlce cross the road to try and run away, they get gunned down. I did actually manage to cancel my off-map just in time, so it wasn't completely wasted. Because he'd obviously moved away from the position it was going to land. IS-2's finally managed to kill one of the Tigers, so that was good. And now as we moved into Phase C, I'm going to be bringing in a bunch of Maxims. So the way that I had built my deck was Maxims would provide the long-range fire support against like Fallschirmjäger as my like unvet Siedlce and Chernos and whatever else I had left at this point ran forwards into them to find them. And the IS-2s obviously as well can provide decent HE fire support. And this Maxim, I got it in its Jeep. Going to be waiting for that off-map to come down. And then as soon as they get pinned, I'm going to be pushing the Maxim forwards to try and get the surrender there. So off it goes, looking for the 2 squad surrender onto some nice expensive Falchion Pioneers. And unfortunately, sniper in the church, and it's going to stop my Maxim in its tracks and stops me from finding the surrenders. Unfortunate. Now we've got Falchion Pioneer versus Sturm, the DT, really taking its sweet time in killing enemy infantry. All these Falchion Pioneers, really tough for me to get through, but I have plenty of close range infantry left at this point, so I wasn't too worried about controlling the middle. What I was starting to become worried about was controlling these flags further out. Now I do still have 4 Hurricanes available. It was unfortunate that I lost one of my IL-2s because the IL-2s are crucial if I want to try and overwhelm AA. Because the only way in which my Hurricanes can be effective is if they have like line of sight basically, because otherwise he can just move the AA and they'll miss. So the IL-2 are very important for that strategy. But I'm obviously waiting on the IL-2 to fix up right now, so I can't use the Hurricanes just yet. Siedlce coming up to support that push that I was talking about. So I'm just going to have a multiple Siedlce run across the town, covered by the Maxims, covered by the IS-2s, and then we can take back another flag. Meanwhile, just going to continue to hold in the middle. Now the Hurricanes coming in. I felt like I could see enough targets here that the Hurricanes could find kills, but I completely just kind of like got greedy, I guess I would say is the best way to put it. The Sagittario is going to be coming in, take out the PE2, which does manage to bomb the infantry squad that was holding this flag, so that does give me my 1311. But now my poor Hurricanes are abandoned on this left hand side, and it's going to be able to get 1 kill onto the Hurricane, and then he's going to be able to potentially sweep around and find a second, although that one is going to be able to get away. It's way too far away for them to catch up. But in the meantime, one of my Hurricanes further to the right did get shot down by the AA. And at this point, I kind of realized that that was a huge mistake. Because the IL-2 is now ready to go. And it would have been good if I had had that, because I could have focused down his AA and then kind of had all of my aircraft go for his 2 aircraft. The issue that the Hurricanes have is they are very slow and they struggle to get on target quickly. And since my AA isn't that abundant, he is going to be able to strafe me as well. Hoping that I can shoot down one of the Sagittario, but the 25 mils changed target and I wasn't quick enough to click the other plane. You can see that I did start trying to fire back at it again, but just a little bit too late there. And all the while, the front line, particularly on the left hand side, has fallen apart. Like after the bombing strike landed here and I pushed forwards to capture the flag, I jumped into here and I got hit by so many units. This IS-2 is in position on the left hand side, but I've got to be careful of the Pak-43 that is over there. In the middle I still have control, and on the right I have a chance to grab some flags back. So my Siedlce now in position. They're going to spread out. I want to try and take back this flag. I want to try and take back this flag. And yeah, the way I'm going to do it is have the Maxims follow them up, shoot them in the back if they try and retreat, and then the IS-2s can also cover. So take out a couple of infantry very quickly that were on low health. The Falchion Panzer Abwehr needs to go, because otherwise the IS-2 can get killed by that Panzer Schreck. And you can see I'm now going to be bringing in the Andrusha to try and do some damage to the Tiger, potentially kill it. If I get enough rockets on target, that Tiger will go down. But Flix a good enough player to make sure that he starts moving as soon as those rockets come in. And assuming that he doesn't move into the rockets, he should be okay, as my Andrusha's first rockets just completely whiff. It's not a completely wasted strike, as it will pin down enemy infantry in the area. And you can see that I do have a ton of pressure moving into this town right now. Still got control over the center. Still got a control of enough flags on the left. So if I can take another flag or two, I can sit on a 13-11 for the rest of the game, and I can win this one. That's what was on my mind right now. I was like, you know what, this is actually pretty close. ME-410's coming in for some blind bombing strikes. Actually missed the mark completely, so that was nice. My AA tickling them on the way out though, as they are pretty fast, and my 25mm struggling to get on target. LG on the right side, getting some shots through the town there, are going to chunk some of my Siedlce squads as I move forwards. But you can see here the plan coming together. The Siedlce move forwards, they reveal the Fallschirmjäger, the Grens, and then the Maxims can help pin them down, and also the IS-2s. And the IS-2s is going to be forcing them back there out of those buildings, allowing my Siedlce to advance, and they're going to be trying to capture this flag. They're looking for that 13-11. Now, meanwhile, in the center, Fallschirmjäger do find a Siedlce DP. They're going to be able to take that out. Avtos are found by a Gren squad. Now, a Gren squad would usually suck against an Avto, but because the Avto's already a bit pinned here and I'm focusing elsewhere, they're going to get a chance to pin it down and surrender it, which is really bad. With that occurring, I do see the pop-up, and I'm going to be retreating the two that are getting hit by mortar fire. And then my Sturmoviki going to be coming in on the flanks here, looking to engage enemy infantry. Now these Grens don't stand a chance against Sturmoviki, so managed to surrender that one quickly on the right hand side. The one on the left is going for a 2v1, but with a third squad arriving and then a fourth squad arriving, that Sturmoviki now going to be on the retreat. I'm going to try and micro it so I can get more kills. On the left hand side, Pak-43 gets killed by the Andrusha. I was also trying to kill the LG that was there as well. Meanwhile in the town, the Siedlce is still making ground. The IS-2 is providing good support here. And then a Tiger comes along. The Tiger again using light cover. Nice micro here from Flix. I'm going to try and move my IS-2 forwards to get a shot on target, and I am going to be able to kill that off. So that was good. And now the Siedlce going to be able to control that flag. But whilst that is going on, Flix pushes me back in the middle. So I'm still not on a 13-11, and the longer this goes, the more that becomes a problem. I am going to want to make sure that I get a 13-11 as soon as possible. Because if I don't, then I'm in trouble. Now I saw he had a bit of a salient on this right hand side, so I did preemptively reinforce with a couple of Avtos, but you can see one of the Avtos got caught in the transport because I hadn't unloaded them. And now the second Avto is going to have to kill this Fallschirmjäger. What I didn't count on is that he's got a Gren with the MG42 out in the open, which is going to be able to get his MG42 on target. But I'm bringing in the IL-2 for the strafing run. That gets a lot of damage done. Hurricane's going to go for the Gren. Double Sagittario is coming in, so I am a little bit wary of that. I'm going to be trying to turn in with the IL-2, but it's not going to be enough. But at least one of my Hurricanes gets to head on one of the Sagittarios to kill it off. So I trade an IL-2 for a Hurricane, but yeah, obviously not in a great position with my Hurricane here, as it takes a lot of damage from that hit of the Sagittario, and then finally the 88 finishing it off. But at least I managed to deal with this infantry. I'm going to pin down his Fallschirmjäger again and hopefully surrender them or just kill them. And then I'll be running after the Grens. I've got the Chernos that can cut them off as well. Meanwhile in centre, Sturmoviki, having an engagement with his infantry once again, managed to get rid of the Fallschirm Pioneers, which is important. And so my Sturmoviki can then just freely engage the Grens. The front line really was being weird in the middle for me though. I think it was mainly because obviously he's got units in between my units all the time. And here I was hoping to, you know, pin and then surrender his Fallschirm Pioneers, but again, because his unit's in between mine, it's like making the front line weird. Pupschen moves up. I think took out the IS-2 just here, so that was unfortunate. Zis-2, meanwhile, on the right, does manage to snipe one of the transports, so we stop him from pushing up here. My Hurricane should have been falling back, but that's just my bad. Since the Pak-43 was dead on the left side, it allowed my IS-2 to move forwards and support, so I'm going to be trying to take out the LG-42 so that the Chernos can continue to move up. Cherno's having trouble with this Fallschirmjäger right now though, but still trying to hold on to this 13-11. ME-410 comes in with a bombing strike, does manage to take out the AT there. My IS-2 was just missing every shot onto this LG. It was so frustrating. Because I wasn't, again, veterancy on the IS-2, actually really important, because if you don't have veterancy, they are incredibly inaccurate. And that was my curse. Well, apart from the one absolutely superb, unbelievable shot into the Nashorn, yeah, it was my curse with the IS-2s. Particularly when it came to like engaging his Tigers or engaging a lot of his support weapons, the HE just wasn't doing the job. Now here the Andorusha comes in. It just unfortunately was a little bit mistimed. If it had come in just a second sooner, my Flammenwerfer or like Flamer squad would have been alive and I would have been able to jump forwards and capitalize on the pin, but just a little late. Now trying again to sneak up on this side, but he's brought up the 88 there, so that's going to be covering off the road. I already knew that was there, so it was a bit of a silly play on my part. But now this IS-2 looking to deal with the Tiger. The Tiger that was positioned right here was a real bummer to get in line of sight of at this range, because at this range the Tiger actually has decent penetration on an IS-2 and it fires faster, so I can't. It's basically like a coin flip, like whether or not I'm going to win that. So we're finally dealing with that Fallschirm Pioneer. This is the same Fallschirm Pioneer that I was chasing around beforehand. It for some reason just didn't want to die. Vyborg coming in with its bombing strike again. Is going to miss. So that was okay. But all the Starkey here, like my entire push on this right hand side has been disintegrated. Going to be going for another Andorusha, this time onto this area. But look at that. It's our old friend, the LG-42, that my IS-2 was missing the entire time. And it's going to start chunking my Chernos that would otherwise be charging forwards into these strikes. Maxims now going to be used again at range to try and pin down the Fallschirmjäger. The reason the Maxims work in this situation, obviously it's not working here because the LG-42 is going to kill it, but the reason they usually work in this situation is because the Maxims have 1000 meter range, whereas like the Fallschirmjäger only have 750 meter range with their 2 MGs. So you can get the better of those infantry by using Maxims in this way. Another Pak 43 on the left is going to force my IS-2 to back off and use the buildings as cover, which is going to make it harder for me to engage the support weapons that would otherwise hold back my Strelki. Things are definitely getting more and more difficult for me. A little bit of a strafing run comes in on the Andrusha. He doesn't manage to kill it though. I was hoping to maybe at least shoot down the Sagittario, and we do manage to kill that off at least. But I don't really have anything left in the air. You can see that I only have 1 Hurricane and 1 PE-2, and the PE-2 came in on the left to try and find the bombing strike onto the LG-42. What do you know? It doesn't die. I do at least manage to use the IS-2 to kill the IG-18 that was on the main road here. So I'm setting up another position, as you can see. 4 Maxims to back up multiple Chernos and Strelki that are pushing forwards. I'm also kind of hoping that I can get this flag under control for the time being, but Flix has got plenty of points to bring in more infantry to stop me in the center. Now he's probably not going to be able to necessarily get through here depending on what infantry that is, but it really depends what kind of support he has. Like this Ju-88 just constantly coming in and getting 3 bombing strikes is really, really bad. I should have definitely brought in like more 37s sooner, particularly towards the middle of the map. That would have been really, really helpful for dealing with both the Sagittarios and the Ju-88. But we are 36 minutes into the game, or almost 37 minutes into the game. He's on a 13-11. I'm behind in tickets. I'm holding on. I'm very much reliant on these Andrushas right now. If I can find some good Andrusha shots followed up by infantry pushes, I can probably still take back enough flags to potentially win the game. Because I'd only need enough time to pass his tickets, to reduce his tickets past mine, I would say is a better way to put it, in order to win. So that's what I'm counting on right now. Andrusha currently reloading though. This one on the left also reloading. Maxim's coming up again to create a wall of MGs. And the IS-2, I'm going to go for the dice roll. Moving it up, engaging the Tiger. IS-2 had already taken a bit of damage, so it goes down in 1 shot. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. And without that IS-2 there, it is going to make things difficult. I was not that concerned about losing it because, you know, he has the Pak 43 here that's kind of stopping it being useful in the first place. But the trouble with the IS-2 being dead is it means that he can now use the Tiger freely to engage my infantry. So it is kind of a bad play. Well, it definitely is a bad play. You know, IS-2 here. I was hoping this IS-2 would be able to engage the 88 from a decent range, like 2,000 meters. But with the way that the terrain is, like on this left side, it's kind of difficult because this is a bit of a hill. It's like a bit of an incline. So you can't really see the 88 until you get close. I should have brought it like further to the right and shot it maybe from here. But I decided instead that I was going to shift my IS-2 over to the left side so that I could at least keep some pressure on the Tiger. But all the while, the LG still smacking my infantry. I'm going to be dropping some rockets onto it. I fire like 4 rockets or 5 rockets onto it. I was like, you know what, that should be enough to kill it, surely. It wasn't. And then I'm going to be firing some at the Pak 43. I think I had 2 rockets left because I'd fired a few at this area as well. Just kind of spreading the rockets around there. This is why generally you should let the Andrusha just fire all of its rockets, because otherwise there's always going to be a time where it doesn't really hit on target. In this case, the last 2 rockets make him fall back the Pak 43, but don't do any damage. Bit unfortunate. And yeah, things are getting to a point where whilst it is 12 to 12, I've kind of ran out of options because those 2 Andrusha strikes needed to be effective. That's why I split up the rockets, because I was like, if I can get rid of all of the support weapons on the left hand side, then I might be able to keep pressure on this flag for the rest of the game. And then on this side, Andrusha's ready and waiting to make another strike. Enemy mortar fire coming in, forcing my Sturmoviki off the flag. I do have this Sturmoviki here that is able to hold the front line forwards, which is preventing the Sturmoviki next to them from getting surrendered. But we got Pioneers, Falchion Pioneers versus Sturmoviki. This time around, the front line breaks, the Sturmoviki surrender. This Sturmoviki at least is going to be able to get its TNT off onto the Grenadiers. It bumps into the Grens afterwards, gets taken out. And yeah, as you can imagine, it's pretty much over at this point. There isn't much else I can do. You know, I can continue to bring in infantry to support the mid. You know, Sturmoviki Avtos, I've got plenty of them. You know, since he's using Grens for his close range pushes now, you know, my Avtos are fine in trying to engage him. So this is totally fine. But on the sides, things just didn't work out the way I hoped. I wanted the IS-2s to be able to deal with the Tigers, but they didn't really pay off in that regard. The other thing that I think I should have done throughout the game is use the Andrushas to kill the 88s. Because if I can get rid of the 88s earlier on, then the Hurricanes and the IL-2s would have just had free reign throughout this game. And there's a very real opportunity for me in killing all of these 88s, because it's unlikely that his AA tab is that deep. You know, he's probably only got like 4 flak 88s and then a few breader trucks. Like, that's pretty much it. So if I doubled down on killing his AA with the artillery and also just with swarms of Hurricanes and the IL-2s like I had originally, then yeah, maybe I would have been better off in this game. But you can see that the things have definitely kind of slowed down a lot, and if he's on a 14-10, that only means that I'm going to lose eventually regardless. And you can see my Andrusha is trying to pin the 88 and kill it. This wasn't just for no reason. You can see that I'm rushing up the Avto here. I'm not sure what that... I must have misclicked or something, that's crazy. Anyway, Avto's moving up there. Is going to be able to hopefully get past this, because now the 88 is dead. And you can see that I'm going to go for the unloaded position further up to try and capture some deep flags. And whilst I'm still trying to like hold off the MGs here, or the Grens here. And the idea with the Maxim and the Strelki push with the sort of IS-2 backing me up seemed to work, honestly. So I wasn't necessarily so sad about my pushes on the ground. I think, you know, I had the right idea on the flanks. Just my IS-2s didn't really do what I wanted them to. I should have focused more on the AA and taken out his AA. And the other thing is, I should have had more of my own AA. Getting all of my 37 mils on the map would have helped me deal with the Sagittarios and allowed my Hurricanes to continue doing their work. Because I wouldn't have had to use the Hurricanes to engage the 88s once the Andrushas came in. I could have used the Andrushas to kill the 88s, and then the Hurricanes would have just been strafing stuff on the front line, which means they would have been covered by my own AA from the Sagittarios. That would have been the play, I think, in hindsight. But, alas, Avtos continue their way through the centre. But yeah, I'm basically getting to the point in my mind where I'm like, there's no way I can bring this back now. You know, I've only got just over 5 minutes left on the clock, and with the tickets, I'd need a double tick, so I'd need a 15-9, and there's almost no way in which I can get a 15-9 at this point in the game. I could maybe scrape a 13-11, but that wouldn't be enough to win. So P2 coming in there for the bombing strike, going to be starting to drop the off map here. My Avtos are going to be able to clean house when it comes to the Grenadiers, but alas, Avtos will not win me this one, and Flix has done it again. Well played to him, managed to hold me back. Bit of an interesting choice with the first Fallschirmjäger, that's for sure, but yeah, I had my shot and I missed, pretty much. The Hurricane IL-2 play, I felt could have worked. I wasn't necessarily like disappointed with my performance in this series, this best of two. Well, it's not a best of two, it's just 2 games in the group stage. I felt like I did really well, considering I did no preparation for League, and this was like the first time that I'd ever played Tannenberg myself on this, like in 1v1. Like, I wasn't too displeased with my performance. Like in Division 2, Flix is a great player, and yeah, he did really, really well. Regardless, you know, I can't take it away from him. He plays really well. 45 minutes, 39 seconds. I eventually throw in the towel, and you can see this time around the kill death much closer. Early on, I think I had his number. You know, 3,515 kills, 2,890 losses for him. I think early on the Hurricanes really did a lot of work. Like killing an early Sagittario as well with the IL-2 micro was very, very, very important. But you can see after that, not really much happened other than the like airplay, and then, you know, the Andrushas come in. And whilst I think I did get a really good Andrusha strike in the middle to begin, after that I should have really focused down his AA. This IS-2 did kill a couple of Tigers. That was the only one that did well. This IS-2 you can see only killed 1 Fallschirmjäger, and this IS-2 killed like a Gren and an IG, and this one killed 1 Stostrup. So that's like 800 points worth of tanks, and I killed 2 Tigers. That's the relevant stuff. Now, I think you know, with the support on the push into the town, yeah, it kind of worked with the Strelke Maxim push, because that's going to allow Strelke here, for example, to get 2 Fallschirmjäger kills, which is nuts. Obviously, just cleaning up low health squads. But yeah, an interesting game, a very, very interesting game. His Fallschirmjäger obviously, you know, can dominate me at range, but these Tigers getting IS-2 kills is brilliant value for him. Absolutely brilliant value. And these Fallschirmjäger demolishing Strelke, to no one's surprise. Yeah, tough stuff. An invulnerable LG on the left. An absolutely incredible, unbelievable hit from the IS-2 on the right. This game was wild. It really was. And hopefully you guys enjoyed watching it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.